The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, the internet had a brand new obsession. I mean, we are talking about why her new marriage is a massive scandal.
Oh, it really is a massive scandal. Like, truly one for the books.
Welcome to Starscope Report.
Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and, viral influencer scandals.
Exactly. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today, we have an absolutely fascinating deep dive for you all.
We really do. We're looking at Nigerian Nollywood actress and producer Laide Bakare, and we have a huge stack of sources for this one.
Right, like recent celebrity news articles from legit.eng and The Cable.
Plus some really explosive classic print interviews from Encomium and Naija magazines. Oh, and some recent political updates from Culture Custodian.
So our mission today is to basically unpack this incredibly tangled web of Nollywood drama surrounding her.
But, more importantly, we're using her story to examine the anatomy of a public reboot. Like, how does a massive celebrity with two highly documented, highly scandalous past marriages just step up to a microphone and claim she's getting married for the first time?
It's such a remarkable case study in how public memory works, because we live in this era where your digital footprint is, well, it's permanent.
Right, totally permanent.
Every interview, every rumor, every public falling out, it's archived forever.
Yeah.
So making a claim that blatantly contradicts that archive is a really bold move.
It forces us to ask if a public figure can ever truly enforce their own right to be forgotten.
Yeah.
Just through sheer willpower and like a good PR strategy.
And the strategy she's using right now is causing an absolute firestorm online.
So let's establish the spark that lit this current controversy.
Yeah.
Laide Bakare recently sat down for an interview with the content creator Ademola. He's widely known online as Mr. Lil Gaga.
Yeah, Mr. Lil Gaga.
So the conversation is flowing, and then she casually drops this massive bombshell. She announces that preparations are in high gear for her to walk down the aisle.
But she doesn't just say, I am getting married again. She specifically announces that she will soon be getting married, quote, officially for the first time ever.
Which is just, wow.
Right. That specific phrasing is doing immense strategic work. By using the word officially, she is instantly redefining the parameters of her own history.
And what makes this rollout so potent is the vacuum of information she paired it with. She is keeping the identity of this new fiancé and the actual wedding date under strict lock and key.
It's a complete mystery. And as we all know, the internet absolutely hates a mystery.
It hates a vacuum. When you announce a first official marriage but you hide the groom, you send public speculation into absolute overdrive.
Which immediately backfired in the most spectacular way, because this highly romantic video suddenly surfaced online.
Oh, the video.
Yes. Right. It showed Laide what looked exactly like a genuine intimate proposal moment with her co-star, Tolani Dada Oluwasola, popularly known as Odobodobo Motola.
And fans saw this video, connected it to the Mr. Lil Gaga interview, and instantly jumped to conclusions. The internet just flooded her with congratulations, thinking they had cracked the mystery.
And she had to rapidly deploy damage control. She came out publicly to clarify that the video was entirely fictional.
Yeah, she had to remind everyone it was just a scene from their movie, Oko Laide.
Exactly. She reminded the public that they portray lovers in multiple films, that he is not her husband, and it's all just acting.
But the swiftness of that public reaction, it just reveals how primed her audience is for this marriage narrative. They are watching her every move, actively trying to cast the role of the mystery man.
They really are.
But functionally, isn't her claim about this being her first official marriage just an attempt to, gaslight the public record?
How do you mean?
Well, a digital footprint is like a permanent digital tattoo. You can't just cover it with a Post-it note that says first official marriage and expect everyone to forget the ink underneath.
That's a great analogy.
If we allow public figures to just erase legally documented history because they feel reborn, where does the public record end and PR begin?
And that is the exact friction point of this entire story. From a purely objective standpoint, you are totally right. It defies the documented timeline.
Right.
But from a psychological standpoint, we have to look at what she's actually trying to accomplish. To Laide, the word official likely means something entirely different emotionally, or maybe even legally, than what the public perceives.
I can see that.
When your past involves highly publicized trauma, declaring a first official anything is a method of taking your power back. She is basically telling the public, I am the author of my story, and chapter 1 starts right now on my terms.
I hear that. It's a powerful sentiment for personal empowerment.
Mm.
But to truly understand why the public is pushing back so hard, we have to examine the ink on that digital tattoo.
We really do.
But wait till you hear what came next, because the prequels to this marriage are insane. We have to look at the first marriage.
Because her actual first marriage ended with accusations so wild, they legitimately sound like a soap opera script that a network would reject for being too unrealistic.
It was incredibly dramatic. So let's examine the timeline. Laide's first major public marriage was to a U.S.-based businessman from Ondo State named Olumide Okunfalure.
And together, they had a daughter named Simi. For a significant period, it appeared to be a relatively standard, if geographically challenging, transnational celebrity marriage.
She was building her career in Nollywood, and he was based in the States. But when the relationship fractured, it did so in a spectacularly public fashion.
Oh, absolutely. Which brings us to a massive artifact in the digital archive, a classic 2013 interview from Encomium magazine.
And we need to contextualize this for you. In 2013, we weren't just dealing with vague subtweets or cryptic Instagram stories that disappear.
No, not at all.
This was Olumide Okunfalure, speaking from Washington, D.C., launching a full-blown, detailed print media offensive against his wife.
He explicitly claimed that their marriage was still legally intact, and he outright accused Laide of marrying him primarily to secure a United States green card.
And the green card accusation was just the opening salvo. He strategically painted a narrative of a partner who prioritized her celebrity lifestyle entirely over her family.
Right. He made the very specific claim that she left their baby, Simi, with him in America for 8 straight months while she pursued her career in Nigeria.
He stated that this forced him into the role of a, quote, nursing father, which was clearly designed to challenge cultural expectations of motherhood.
Furthermore, he levied intense accusations of infidelity. He claimed she was staying with married men in Lagos under the guise of being a traveling career woman.
And then he deployed the absolute nuclear option. I mean, the peak of this chaotic print interview was when he publicly threatened to have his doctor begin a DNA test to confirm if he was truly Simi's father.
A paternity threat in a national magazine. The international fallout from that kind of statement is just staggering.
You are taking the most private, sensitive family matter imaginable and weaponizing it for public consumption.
It is an incredibly damaging tactic, especially because there's a child involved who will one day grow up and have access to these archives.
Exactly.
But what is equally telling for our analysis of Laide's PR evolution is her defense strategy at the time.
Right. Encomium reached out to her for a rebuttal via a BlackBerry chat, which, by the way, perfectly dates the era of this scandal.
Oh, totally, the BlackBerry day.
And she utilized a strategy of complete stonewalling. She maintained a staunch refusal to engage with the drama on his terms.
She claimed that her ex-husband never gave that interview at all. She suggested it was either an impersonator or a pure blackmail attempt by the publication.
She basically looked at a massive print interview and said, nope, that didn't happen. He would never say such things about me.
It's the PR equivalent of putting your hands over your ears.
Precisely. She stated she would fight to protect her daughter's privacy, rather than drag it through the mud of a public back and forth.
And if we look at the mechanics of crisis management, this is a very specific choice. When a narrative about your life spirals violently out of control, you face a dilemma.
Do you get down in the mud and fight the rumors line by line?
Right, providing more content for the tabloids. Or do you protect your peace, draw a rigid boundary, and refuse to validate the chaos with a response?
And in 2013, Laide chose to starve the fire of oxygen. And hey, if you're loving these Hollywood and Nollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We have got even crazier stories ahead.
Definitely hit subscribe, because that strategy of total silence really only works if the problem is a tabloid rumor.
It fundamentally falls apart when the problem isn't a magazine article, but a federal financial investigation.
And that transition brings us to the second marriage, which involves a staggering $2.5 billion Naira fraud case.
Exactly. The stakes changed dramatically. By 2012, Laide had seemingly moved past the Okunfalure drama. She rebounded and entered a high-profile marriage with a wealthy Lagos socialite, Mutaru Atanda Orlowo.
They quickly welcomed 2 sons, and from the outside, it was projected as this glamorous, successful, highly affluent fresh start.
But then 2014 hits, and the floor completely falls out. Orolowo is suddenly declared wanted by the EFCC, Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
And we need to put this into perspective for you. This was not a minor administrative tax error.
No, we are talking about an alleged 2.5 billion naira fraud involving MTN's employees' multi-purpose cooperative society.
To put that in an international context, that is the equivalent of a massive multi-million-dollar corporate embezzlement scandal.
It is the kind of money that brings the full weight of the federal government down on you.
The EFCC reportedly began seizing his properties, and rumors were swirling everywhere that they had even seized a luxury boutique that Orolowo had allegedly opened for Laide.
The pressure cooker of a high-profile relationship is immense on a good day. But federal legal trouble of this magnitude creates structural cracks that are almost impossible to survive.
Faced with this, Laide completely abandoned her previous strategy of silence.
Yeah, she went on the offensive. She gave a fiery, exclusive interview to Naija magazine to defend herself and her husband.
At the time, she was in the United States having her third child, and rumors were rampant that she had fled the country to escape arrest alongside him.
She vehemently denied this, explaining that she has always traveled abroad to give birth simply for the medical facilities, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the EFCC.
She also completely dismantled the boutique rumor, using some pretty flawless celebrity logic.
She stated, quote, "I have never had a boutique in my life. If I had a boutique, wouldn't I have launched it in a big way and made noise about it?"
Which, honestly, is an airtight defense. If a Nollywood star owns a retail business, they're going to market it aggressively on every platform available.
It is entirely logical. But what is truly fascinating about that Naija interview, from a crisis management perspective, is how fiercely she stood by her husband amidst a massive federal scandal.
Right, and the specific rhetoric she used to do it, she essentially painted over the EFCC crisis with extreme romanticization.
She pointed out to the interviewer that her husband changes diapers. She talked about how he carries their baby on his back to put him to sleep.
And she proudly mentioned that he bought her a G-Wagon. She was arguing that the media only blew the fraud case out of proportion because of her celebrity status.
And that at his core, he was just a great family man. Okay, we really need to dig into this because this is a masterclass in a specific type of PR spin. Let's call it weaponized domesticity.
Weaponized domesticity, I like that.
We see this all the time with politicians and reality stars facing federal indictments. The government is asking where billions of naira went, and the PR response is, well, he changes diapers and he bought me a car.
It's a deliberate attempt to shrink the narrative from a macroeconomic federal scandal down to the square footage of a nursery.
But from the outside, it looks completely absurd. We know this marriage eventually collapsed. So you have to ask, at what point does fierce loyalty to a partner cross the line into a total denial of reality?
That is the tragic reality of these public implosions. When you are deeply embedded in a relationship, especially one that you have publicly championed as your fresh start after a previous traumatic divorce, admitting failure feels like a massive personal defeat.
The cognitive dissonance is incredibly powerful.
It requires you to focus hyper-intently on the private, intimate moments, like him putting the baby to sleep, to counteract the terrifying, uncontrollable public reality of EFCC asset seizures.
Use domestic normalcy as a shield against federal scrutiny. But eventually, the structural cracks caused by massive legal and financial stress just become too much to bear.
You can only defend the fortress for so long when the foundation itself is crumbling.
And crumble it did, leading to another highly publicized split. And that's not even the wildest part. Later in the show, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming.
Yes, the plot twist is amazing. But first, that split brings us out of the archives and back to the present day.
We have to look at how Laide Bakare has processed this decade of extreme public trauma, because her current strategy is a direct reaction to those two failed marriages.
She recently appeared on the Real Life with Auntie Ayo show, hosted by her colleague Ayo Adesanya, and Laide made it clear that she has implemented some incredibly strict boundaries.
For instance, she completely refuses to bring any men she's dating into her home. She has declared her house an absolute private sanctuary for her and her kids. She literally told the host, "I do not love easily, I like."
Establishing a rigid physical boundary like that is a very healthy, direct response to the chaos of her past.
Absolutely. After having your personal life dragged through print magazines and federal courts, your physical home is the one environment you can completely control.
She is quarantining her family life from her romantic life. But what really caught the public's attention during that interview wasn't her housing rules.
No, it was her overarching philosophy on the institution of marriage itself.
She stated, quite plainly, that she is willing to get married up to 5 times if that is what it takes for her to find genuine happiness.
5 times. I mean, that level of romantic optimism, or perhaps just sheer stubborn determination, is staggering when you consider the sheer volume of stress she has endured.
But because this is the internet, people immediately stopped analyzing her emotional resilience and started questioning the religious implications of her statement.
Right. People wanted to know if a Muslim woman is allowed to just keep getting married over and over.
And it is important to address the religious nuance here impartially, exactly as the sources laid it out. During the discussion, Laide was asked if her religion permits this mindset.
She was very quick to clarify that her Islamic faith absolutely does not permit women to have multiple husbands at the same time.
She was strictly talking about sequential marriages, marrying, divorcing, and marrying again.
This interpretation was further backed up by a Muslim scholar, Ismail ibn Hamza, who weighed in on the controversy for legit.eng.
He confirmed that while polyandry, having multiple concurrent husbands, is strictly forbidden in Islam, the Quran explicitly allows widows and divorcees to remarry after they have completed their mandatory waiting period.
So there is no theological hard cap on the number of times a woman can seek a lawful happy marriage after a divorce.
So she has theological clearance, she has established her physical boundaries, and she is claiming a first official reset.
But here's the ultimate twist in this entire deep dive. Because while the internet was hyper-focused on scrutinizing her love life, dissecting the phrase first official, and debating the theology of a hypothetical fifth marriage, Laide Bakare was quietly executing an absolute power move in the background.
She pulled off a phenomenal professional pivot that completely redefined her public standing.
Exactly. According to a recent report from Culture Custodian, while the public was entirely distracted by the viral fake proposal video and the romance rumors, she was securing the bag.
She officially got appointed as the Senior Special Assistant for Entertainment, Arts, Culture, and Tourism by the governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke.
It is a masterclass in resilience and narrative control. And honestly, it is the key takeaway for anyone listening to this deep dive.
Why does this matter? Because it proves that you can have a remarkably messy, highly publicized, chaotic past that is permanently documented online, and it still does not have to dictate the ceiling of your future.
You retain the power to draw boundaries, to publicly refuse to settle for an unhappy relationship, and to pivot your immense public visibility into a highly successful, respected new career chapter.
She successfully transitioned her identity from being tabloid fodder regarding her ex-husbands to being a recognized political appointee shaping culture at a state level.
It really is an incredible arc. We've traced this journey from the dramatic, mudslinging accusations of that first marriage in 2013 straight through the terrifying financial and legal EFCC scandals of the second marriage in 2014.
And now, a decade later, she stands here today, drawing a rigid line in the sand, announcing a defiant first official marriage, and stepping into a government advisory role.
It's the ultimate Nollywood reboot, played out in real life.
And it leaves us with a profound philosophical question to mull over as we close. Think about your own digital footprint.
Yeah. In a digital age where every mistake, every rumor, and every failed relationship is permanently archived and searchable by anyone with a smartphone, is it ever truly possible to declare a clean slate?
Can we ever actually start at chapter 1 again? Or are we all just finding new, increasingly creative ways to write a better ending to a story that the world has already been reading for years?
That is a brilliant question to leave on. The digital tattoo might be permanent, but you always have the pen to design what goes next to it.
So true.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.